You leave the room for 3 minutes. Maybe you go to the kitchen. Maybe you step outside. Maybe you just walk down the hallway. And it starts. Not immediately. There's a pause first, like they're checking, like they're making absolutely sure you're gone. Then the sounds begin. A low growl, a snap, something knocked over, the particular kind of chaos that only seems to exist when you're not there to see it. And then you come back. Silence. They're just sitting there, innocent, like 5 actors who just got their cue to stop performing. One looking at the ceiling, one licking a paw with exaggerated focus. Nothing to see here. If you have more than one dog, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And here's the weird part. Researchers discovered that what stops the fight isn't what most owners think. It's not fear, and it's not obedience. It's something that runs much deeper than either of those things. Something that, when you understand it, is going to completely change how you see your role in your dog's lives. Do dogs stop fighting when humans show up? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand something about your dogs that most owners never figure out. And it's not one reason. It's 4 layered on top of each other, working every single time you walk through that door. Think about the last time this happened in your house. You walked in, and everything went quiet. How many dogs do you have, and which one do you think starts it when you're gone? Leave your answer in the comments. I'll be checking. Most people land on one of 2 explanations. The first, it's dominance. They stop because you outrank everyone in the room. The second, they know they're doing something wrong. The moment you appear, the performance ends. Both carry some truth, but neither tells the whole story. And the part they're missing, the part the actual research uncovered, is the part that changes everything. Here's the first reason, and it's bigger and more flattering to you than most owners ever realize. In 2013, researchers in Budapest published a study that stopped people in the field cold. They worked with 30 dogs, measured heart rate variability, the same physiological tools used in human stress research. Each dog faced something stressful, a stranger approaching in a slightly threatening way. Once with the owner present, once with the owner completely absent. They weren't guessing at how the dogs felt. They were measuring it directly. When the owner was in the room, the dog's heart rate barely spiked at all. When the owner was absent, the spike was significant. Same stressful situation, same dog. The only variable, the only thing that changed, was whether their person was standing there. The researchers called this the safe haven effect, the same psychological mechanism that calms a frightened child the moment a parent enters the room. A parent's presence doesn't just feel reassuring. It is measurably, physiologically calming. Heart rate drops, stress hormones shift, the nervous system actually settles. Your dogs are experiencing the same thing. Your presence doesn't just look calming to them. It is calming biologically, measurably, in a way that shows up in actual heart rate data. Now think about what that means for 2 dogs in the middle of a tense moment. Their stress, their arousal, whatever has been escalating between them, all of it shifts the instant you walk in. Not because they're afraid of punishment, because biologically, your presence turns the temperature of the whole room down. Does the whole room seem to physically settle when you walk in, not just go quiet, but actually relax like a switch got flipped? That's the safe haven effect, working exactly as designed. And it shows up most clearly around one thing almost every multi-dog owner recognizes immediately: sleeping spots. Your dogs fight over who sleeps closest to you, not over the mattress, not over the cushion. The position nearest to you is genuinely worth competing for because the dog closest to you gets the most benefit of that safe haven effect. But the instant you're in the room, every dog gets that calming effect regardless of where they're sitting. The prize stopped being scarce, so the fight stopped mattering. Is this one of your biggest triggers at home, who gets to sleep closest to you? Tell me in the comments which specific spot causes the most drama in your house. The safe haven effect explains a lot, but it doesn't explain everything, because there's a second layer that goes even deeper. Dog trainers and behaviorists have a specific term for what's really driving a lot of household conflict: a hierarchy vacuum. It means your dogs don't have a clear, calm, trusted leader making decisions for the household. So they start competing with each other to fill that role themselves. Not because they hate each other, because somebody has to be in charge, and if it's genuinely unclear who that is, dogs sort it out themselves. Sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly. When you're in the room present, calm. That vacancy doesn't exist. There's already a leader. So the competition has nothing left to resolve. The moment you step out, the vacancy opens right back up. The dogs start managing the room themselves, negotiating, posturing, testing limits, and the moment you walk back in, the problem they were actively trying to solve got solved by you, just by being there. This is why the fighting can look so intense in one moment and disappear so completely in the next. The competition was real, but the thing they were competing over the open question of who leads this space that's been answered the second you arrive. And this hierarchy vacuum shows up most clearly around one specific resource in almost every household: food. Maybe one bowl got filled a little fuller. Maybe one dog finished first and started eyeing the second bowl. When you're not there, this can escalate fast. But the moment you walk into that kitchen, you're the one who controls the food. You are the leader of that resource, standing right there. The competition was never really about the food itself. It was about who's in charge of it. And the second you're standing there, that question already has an answer. Does food cause the most fights in your house? Or something else, a favorite chew, a particular blanket? Drop it in the comments. But here's the part that surprises almost every owner, because sometimes the silence when you walk in has nothing to do with safety or leadership at all. Think about everything your dogs have learned just from living with you. The sound of the leash means walk, the can opener means dinner, your keys in the door mean you're home. Now think about what happens every single time you walk into a room where they're fighting. The conflict stops every time, without exception. If that pattern has repeated enough times, and in most households, it has, then your arrival itself becomes a learned signal. Your footsteps in the hallway, your voice from the other room, your shadow crossing the doorway. All of it starts to carry the same message. This stops now. This is called learned consequence. Your dogs aren't faking the fight. The conflict was real, but the speed with which it stops that part is a trained response, built from dozens of repeated moments where your presence reliably ended the tension. That is not deception. That is intelligence. Do your dogs stop the instant they hear you coming before they can even see you? That's learned consequence working in your house right now. Now let's get specific, because there are 5 situations where all of this shows up most clearly, and I want you to recognize yours. The first, the sleeping spot war. Who gets to sleep closest to you? Not about the mattress, about the position that says, I am the one who gets to be here tonight. Does this happen at bedtime in your house? The second, the going somewhere war. You pick up your keys, your leash, your shoes, and before you've made it to the door, something starts. Who gets to come with you? Who gets to be the chosen one for this hour? This competition isn't about the walk. It's about something that feels to your dogs like being selected, like being the one that matters most in this moment. Has one of your dogs always pushed to be first out the door? The third, mealtime tension. Watch more carefully next time. The dog who starts the conflict at mealtime often isn't the hungriest one. It's the one most anxious about their position in the household. And notice, when you stand in the kitchen supervising, it usually goes smoothly. The moment you step out, the dynamic shifts. Does your mealtime go differently depending on whether you're standing there? The fourth, your belongings, your jacket, your shoes, your pillow. Dogs in multi-dog households frequently guard their owner's belongings not because they want the item, but because it carries your scent. And scent proximity is the next best thing to actual proximity. When one dog claims your jacket and another challenges that they're not fighting over fabric, they're fighting over a piece of you. The fifth, the children and family tension. This is the one that worries owners the most. When a dog shows tension toward your child, your grandchild, or a new family member, specifically when you're present, what's usually happening is resource competition. The dog, most anxious about their position, redirects that anxiety toward the person they perceive as a competitor for your attention. It's not aggression in the classic sense, it's insecurity. It's a dog saying, "I'm not sure where I stand, and this person is making me less sure." Of those five, which one is most familiar to you? Leave a comment. And if it's more than one, tell me which is the worst, because what I'm about to tell you next connects all five of them. And once you see what's underneath, you can't unsee it. Before we go further, something I need to say clearly. Most of what we've talked about, quick scuffles, posturing, noisy wrestling that stops the second you appear, that's normal conflict, it happens in healthy multi-dog homes. It doesn't mean something is wrong, but there's a different category. If fights are causing actual injuries, if they're lasting more than a few seconds and not stopping, even when you intervene, if the intensity is escalating over time, that is not the pattern we've been describing. That needs a professional trainer or behaviorist, not just more of your presence. And rushing in, yelling, grabbing collars mid-fight that can sometimes make things worse. Dogs mid-conflict can become more frightened and reactive when a human intervenes the wrong way. If your situation feels more serious than ordinary household squabbling, please reach out to a professional. For most of you watching this, what's happening in your house is the social tension kind. The kind that has an explanation. The kind that, when you understand it, starts to make sense. A man named Dennis noticed one of his dogs becoming tense around his grandson whenever they were together in the same room. A behaviorist explained it simply. The dog wasn't protecting Dennis, he was worried about losing access to Dennis's attention. The grandson got time, affection, focus, and the dog didn't know where that left him. Once Dennis made a point of giving the dog predictable, specific attention, especially when his grandson was present, the tension faded within 2 visits. The fight was never really about the grandson. The fight was about losing access to the person who makes him feel safe. That's what connects every single situation we've talked about tonight. The sleeping spot, the food bowl, the door, the jacket, the grandchild. It was never really about any of those things. It was always about you. Brain imaging studies found that a dog's reward system, the same neural circuitry activated by food and play, activates specifically when they smell or see their owner. Not a stranger, not another dog. Their owner. You are, neurologically, a reward. When you return after being away, your dogs experience a measurable oxytocin release. The bonding hormone, the calming hormone. The one that doesn't just settle them, it settles the entire room. That's not loyalty as a concept. That's chemistry. That's biology. That's what's actually happening every time the chaos stops the moment you appear. Here's what I want you to sit with before the final answer. When you walk back into the room and everything stops, what do you think your dogs are feeling in that moment? Relief? Because the uncertainty is over. Safety? Because the thing that makes them feel anchored is back. Or something simpler, something that doesn't have a word, but that you've felt yourself when someone you love walks back into a room after being gone? Think about that, because the answer lands differently when you've been sitting with that question. Sometimes it was never the couch, never the food bowl, never the toy. Sometimes they were fighting over the thing they love most, you. So, do dogs stop fighting when humans show up? Yes. And here is exactly why. 4 reasons, working together every time. The first, the safe haven effect. Researchers measured the heart rate of 30 dogs under stress, once with their owner present, once without. When the owner was in the room, the stress response dropped significantly. Your presence is a measurable biological calming agent, not a metaphor, a physiological reality. The second, the hierarchy vacuum. When you're absent, there's no clear leader managing the room. Dogs compete to fill that role. The moment you appear, the vacancy disappears, and so does the reason to compete. You didn't have to do anything, you just had to be there. The third, learned consequence. Dogs learn cause and effect constantly. If your arrival has reliably ended tension before every time, without exception, your presence itself becomes a learned signal that the conflict is over. That's not performance. That's intelligence built from repetition. The fourth, it was always about you. The sleeping spot. The food bowl, the door, the jacket, the tension around someone you love. Every single one of those fights had the same thing underneath it: access to you. Your attention, your presence, your proximity. That's what they were competing for. And the second you walked back in, they didn't need to compete anymore. The next time you walk into a room and the chaos melts away the second they see you, don't just feel relieved that the fighting stopped. Feel what it actually means. Out of every person, every sound, every reason in the world that could settle them down, it's you. It has always been you. And every time the room goes quiet when you walk in, that's not fear. That's trust. Now I want to hear from you. How many dogs do you have? And which of these 4 reasons fits your pack best? The safe haven effect, the hierarchy vacuum, learned consequence, or was it always just about access to you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this gave you language for something you've always seen but never been able to explain, share it with someone who has more than one dog and has been wondering the same thing.